Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's 1:15 Pilates class. So we'll get started in about a minute's time. So as usual with our Pilates, we're going to start off with a little bit of activation work, a bit of alignment, correcting our posture. From there, we'll move into the warm up, and from the warm up, then we'll gently flow into the workout. Workout today is going to be around 40 minutes long, 35 to 40 minutes long. And then just a mixture of different exercises throughout the class. If you haven't done Pilates before, it's suitable for all levels, so beginners up to advanced. And advanced people will show you ways of progressing the moves on. If needs be, for people who haven't done Pilates before, we'll start off the class with some pelvic floor activation work. I'll explain that in a little bit more detail when we get to it. If you've done Pilates before, guys, and you use different techniques or you're comfortable just activating yourself, you can use that time just to control the breath, bring focus to the breath, and work on your activation from there. Again, as I said, we'll start off with our posture alignment. So we'll get ourselves into a nice neutral position. And from there, we'll work on our activation exercises or practice. And from there, then we'll flow into the warm-up. Okay. So again, guys, as you can see for me, I've just got a crossed mat in front of the camera, and that's just so that you can see different views. So you get a side view and a front view. So I might change from front view to side view throughout the class. You don't have to. You can obviously stay whatever way you're facing on your mat, but just so you can see the demonstrations from both side on and front on. So don't feel the need to change yourself or have the crossed mats here. One mat is grand for you. Just make sure you're comfortable in whatever place you are doing the class from. We'll get a start, guys. So I'll just get the clock going, and from there we're going to bring ourselves into the middle of our mat. Again, I'm just going to go from side on. You can stay facing the camera. We're going to bring our feet to about hip width apart. So distance of our hips straight down to our feet, hip width apart, pushing the toes into the ground. So gripping the ground with the big toes. Feel the arcs of the feet gently rise up off the ground. Imagine the legs wrapping around. So feel the wraparound sensation through the legs. Feel the legs tighten. Keep the glutes nice and quiet here. So keep the bum nice and relaxed. As we engage through our pelvic floor, think about an internal squeeze, like we're preventing ourselves from going to the toilet. So a gentle internal squeeze through our pelvic floor activation. Again, keeping the glutes nice and quiet here. So when we get to the activation work, try not to squeeze through the bum. Think about a gentle internal squeeze and lift from our core. To begin with, though, we're going to get our alignment corrected. So palms opened up, fingers together, thumbs opened up nice and wide. Right hand, place that right thumb in on the sternum, just so your center point of your body, your breastbone, in between the ribs. So you've got the bottom of the sternum, so you've got that contact point, so thumb in against the sternum, palm facing the floor, and then on your left hand, place your left thumb on your pubic bone. So we've found those 2 points. We've our palms opened up to the floor, and all I want you to do now is check how your palms are stacked. So make sure that your top hand is directly above your bottom hand. If it's not, what you might choose to do is gently maneuver yourself from the hips or drop the rib cage down. So just maneuver yourself until you have a position where your top hand is directly above your bottom hand. And when we're in that position and we're comfortable and you think you're in a nice tall position, we can hold the position we're in, bring our hands back down by our sides. Again, push the toes into the ground, lift the head nice and high, elongate the neck, looking straight ahead. Palms opened up and facing forward. So we're in a nice tall standing position here. And from here, we're going to begin with our pelvic floor activation. So with our right index finger, finding that pubic bone again at the front. And with our left index finger, finding that tailbone. So we've found 2 points of contact. And in your mind's eye now, I just want you to imagine the space between your 2 index fingers. In a second, we're going to take an inhale. And then through the exhale, we're going to imagine that we're gently drawing our belly button back towards the spine. That gentle internal squeeze. So take a deep breath in. As we exhale out, imagine those 2 points, those index fingers, drawing gently closer together. Take a deep breath in, hold the space closed. As we exhale out again, try and gently bring those 2 index fingers closer together. Deep breath in through the nose once more. This time as we exhale out, feel yourself being lifted higher towards the roof. So we pull from underneath up towards our ribs. So we're feeling more supported up through our t-shirt. Take an inhale again, hold that connection strong. And as we exhale out, draw up from the bottom and feel ourselves being tightened up through the body, up towards the ribs. Inhale, hold the connection. Exhale, draw up from the bottom. And hold that connection strong. We bring our hands back down by our sides. Relax the palms. Keep controlling the breath. 3 or 4 seconds inhale, 3 or 4 seconds exhale. Every time you take an inhale, feel yourself holding whatever connection you've established. And as you exhale out, try and gently increase that connection. So through the connection, we're trying to pull together and up from the bottom. Again, what we should feel is a sensation of just being really well supported in our standing position. The neutral position we've taken ourselves into with our spine. We're engaged and strong, and we just feel really well supported in that standing position. Good. From there, guys, we're going to go into a couple of gentle leg swings. So bring yourself on to the left-hand side of your mat. Right. So the left-hand side of your mat, your outside foot is on the floor. And from there, we're just going to use whatever floor we have below us. So if it's a wooden floor, let the toe gently drift through the floor. If it's a carpet, again, just gently let the toe drift through the floor, kicking straight forward and straight back. And you can see me again from the side. Keep the toe pointing through as we kick through and reaching that heel back behind. 3, 2, and 1. We'll bring ourselves over onto the opposite side. So bring yourself onto the opposite side of the mat. Outside foot is off the mat. And gently brush the toe through the floor. And keep the toe pointing straight ahead as we kick through. And again, just seeing me from the side on that one, reaching the toe long and getting a nice extension through the hip by kicking that heel back behind you. And again, if you lose balance, guys, just take your time, reset yourself to the floor. Keep that strong engagement through that pelvic floor as we swing. 3, 2, and 1. Good. From there, guys, bring yourself to the back of your mat. From there, we're going to roll down into position. We'll move in through a series of stretches and roll back up to a standing position again. We'll do 2 rounds of this. So again, push feet into floor, lift up from underneath through pelvic floor. Let the body hang down towards the feet. Looking between the legs, we allow that chin to fall into the chest. We keep the tailbone lifted up towards the ceiling so the legs stay as long as possible. From there, we're going to take 3 steps out the floor. Step 1, we step out 1, 2, and 3. From here, hand position directly below the shoulders. Once more, think about that engaging of the pelvic floor. So we call it the powerhouse. So we switch on that powerhouse and we hold our position steady. From there, gently lower the knees to the ground. From there, keeping the elbows close to the body, point the toes back behind you. And gently bending the elbows, keeping the connection to the pelvic floor, lower the chest to the floor. From there, push the hands into the floor through the exhale, lifting the chest forward, heart center facing forward. Inhale, bring our chest back down to the mat. From there, turn the toes up into the mat, and from there, through the exhale, we'll sit back onto the heels, drop the head and chest down between the arms. From there, lifting the bum up off the heels, lifting the knees up off the ground, engaging strong through that powerhouse again. From there, lift the tailbone towards the ceiling, push the heels back towards the ground, let the head and chest drop between the arms. Push the hands into the mat, try and lower those heels to the mat. From there, bring our head and chest back forward. Hips are squared off once more. And from there, we'll take 2 steps up to the middle point of our body. Walk the hands back into the feet. Let the body hang towards the legs. From there, bring the hands onto the outside of the legs. chin tucked to chest. And from there, we'll keep the head down, but we'll gently peel ourselves up into a standing position. We'll roll our shoulder blades back and down. Palms open up facing forward. Think about our 50-50 neutral position we started with. Think about that pelvic floor activation again. Deep breath in, hold the connection. Exhaling out. Increase that connection. From there, we tip at the hips once more. We'll let the body hang down toward the feet. Head tucked into chest. Lifting tailbone up toward the ceiling. So we lengthen through the legs. 3 steps out the floor once more. Taking 1, 2, and 3. And hands directly below shoulders once more. Head is out over the tops of the hands. Looking straight down to the mat, keeping that head in neutral. From there, holding the powerhouse strong, gently lower the knees to the floor. From there, pointing the toes back behind you. Think of your runners, think of your laces being placed on the ground. Hold that connection strong through the pelvic floor. Bending the elbows, keeping them inside the width of the mat. Gently lower down to the floor. Keep working from the arms. And from there, lay the hips to the ground. Keep the hips on the floor. Take an inhale. And as you exhale out, push the hands into the mat once more, lifting the heart center to face forward. Inhale, relax the chest back onto the mat and turn the toes into the mat. As we exhale out then, sitting the bum back onto the heels, drop the head and chest down between the arms. From there, lifting the bum up off the heels and lifting the knees up off the mat. And again, holding strong through that pelvic floor connection. From there, lifting the tailbone up towards the roof, pushing the heels back towards the ground, push the hands into the mat, head and chest are looking down towards the toes. From there, lowering the hips back down to square, hands below the shoulders, head looking out over the tops of the fingertips. Hold that position, keep the pelvic floor engaged, gentle internal squeeze and connection. From there, we lower the knees back to the ground once more. We rest the lacers onto the mat. Think of the laces of your runners. So point those toes back behind you. And as slowly as we can, elbows tucked inside the body. Lowering gently towards the mat once more. A long delayed lower to the floor. Bring yourself down onto your mat. And from there, guys, we're just going to roll on to our right-hand side. So, if you want to keep facing the screen, guys, and when you roll onto your right-hand side, you're facing the opposite way. Maybe just turn around nice and gently onto the other side. Sorry, onto your mat once more, but face the opposite way. So we're all lying on our right-hand side, but if you want to be able to see the screen, we may have to put our head and feet at the opposite ends of the mat. So just so I can guide you through the move and give you cues for your left leg is going to be your top leg in this instance. We're going to go into our side leg series here. So just make sure that whatever way you're positioned on your mat now, that you can see the camera, so you can see the demo of what it should look like, and that your left leg is on top of your right leg. From there, we're just going to move ourselves up onto our elbow on our right elbow. And all I want you to do is align yourself straight down through the mat here. So what you're looking for down your mat is for you to be nice and straight from your head down to your shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles. So a nice straight line. What we'll do now is we'll bend the knees to 90 degrees. So the knees will come to the front of the mat. The ankles are still directly below the hips. So we now have a straight line from our head to our shoulder to our hip and down to our ankle. So the knees are coming in front of all those other points. So the knees are at the front of the mat, everything else is close to the center of the mat. And when you're happy with that alignment, again, think of a right angle through your knees. I'll get you to just lie back down onto the ground, relaxing the head onto the arm, using that arm as a cushion. Okay, so our usual side leg series from here, guys. We're going to start off with some clamshells. Again, as I always say, if you want to use your left index finger here, place the index finger on top of the bony part of the left hip. And all you want to do here is feel that when you lift up the left leg, that you feel no movement or rotation coming from below that index finger. So what we're going to do here is imagine our feet are glued together. We go into our clamshell. So we open up the clamshell through the exhale. We inhale, we will bring it back down again. So it's very delicate movement here, guys. And the reason we are using our index finger as a reference here, what we want to avoid in all these moves is compensation to get further distance or range. So what we're trying to avoid is rotating around to open up further, okay? So only opening up as much as our hip will allow. If we're comfortable that we're doing no compensation here, relax that left hand onto the ground and continue with our reps. Lifting the knee up on the exhale, inhaling, bringing the knee back down. Feet stay glued together. So if you're in your feet are glued together. If you're in your socks are glued together. The movement of our leg follows the movement of our breath. So as we exhale, we lift up. As we inhale, we lift down. So take your time lifting up. It's not a race. So you're completely synchronized around your own breath here. Movements synchronize around breaths. Not worried about how high the knee lifts up. Just going to your level. We'll lift up that knee now and we'll hold it in position. Now for the next series of our moves on our side leg series, we're going to go into a foot lift, keeping the knee in the same position as it is now. Okay, so it's a little internal rotation of the hip. So we're holding that knee there. We are lifting the foot up while keeping the knee in the same position. So let all of your focus be on keeping your knee at the same height. And then we're going to lower that foot back down, keep the knee at the same height. We're going to do 2 where we return the knee back for a complete rest. And then we'll do 2 more where we leave the knee up. So again, let's exhale, lifting the knee up. Take an inhale. And as you exhale out, exhale, lifting the foot off the bottom foot, keeping the knee at the same height. Inhale, drop the foot back down and drop the knee back down onto the knee. Now we're going to go for 2 reps where we keep the knee in the same position for 2 rotations. Let's lift up that top knee and hold it there. Now, let's fully focus on what the knee does here, not how high the foot lifts. Keep the knee in the same position, lifting the top foot off the bottom foot. Keep the knee at the same height. Once you reach your end range, hold it there. Relaxing the breath. Lowering the foot back down onto the bottom foot. Hold the knee at the same height. And once more, lifting the top foot off the bottom foot. Keeping the knee at the same height. Feeling that really pinch the outside of the hip. Lowering the top foot back down onto the bottom foot. And from there, lower top knee to bottom knee. From there now, guys, we're going to straighten that top leg. And when we do, I want you to let that top leg relax down over your bottom foot. So, straight down from head to shoulder to hip to knee to foot on that left side. Our bottom knee is still bent as before. All we're going to think about here is lifting that top leg up and down without moving it forward or back. So think about lifting the leg up, pointing the toe away, not allowing your leg to go any closer to the screen or wall in front of you, and not allowing it to go any further away. So imagine you're passing
your leg up through a narrow gap between two walls. So you don't want to lift the leg up and have it move forward, or you don't want it to move back. The likelihood is that the leg is going to want to move forward to get a little bit more height. But again, as I said earlier on, we're not concerned with how high we lift the leg. We're just concerned with lifting the leg in a straight plane. Lifting up and down, avoiding lifting forward and back. Exhale as we lift up, inhale as we lift down. Slow your movement down, not a race. Completely synchronize around the breath. From there, we lift up that top foot for one last rep. We lower it down. From there then, I want you to turn your toe towards the wall in front of you. Allow the instep of the foot to fully rest on the floor. So if you have to bend that bottom knee a little bit more, you can. Make sure that your instep of your foot is resting completely on the floor. Now, focus here is on making sure that when you lift the leg up, that the instep of the foot stays parallel to the floor. So what we want to try and avoid here is lifting the leg and turning the toe up towards the roof. So we keep that toe facing the wall in front. It will mean that we won't be able to lift the leg as high. Again, we exhale, we lift up, we inhale, we drop down. We keep our speed synchronized around our breath, lifting up and down. Good, guys. On the next one, we lift up that top leg and we hold it in position. And again, that leg is still moving straight up and straight down. The instep of the foot is parallel to the floor. So toe is not pointing towards the ceiling. It's pointing straight at the wall in front of you. And we start to feel that once more burn the outside of the hip, really working down to the outside of the hip here. And we hold for another 10 seconds. We relax that breath. We go for a 10-second hold, and we have 5 lifts then to finish off. Excellent. Gently lower that foot back to the floor, and we're going to finish with 5 reps, working with the breath. Exhale, lift the leg up. Inhale, drop the leg down. Control the speed. 2 reps done, 3 to go. Try and let the leg move at the same speed, going up and down. Try not to have the leg moving at different speeds. So control that speed. It will make it tougher. The body will want to move quickly through the movement going up to make it easier. And when you have 5 reps done, relax that foot back to the floor. And from there, we're going to move to the opposite side. Again, guys, if you want to keep an eye on the screen to see what I'm doing, what I'd suggest is just gently move to the opposite end of the mat instead of just turning around and not being able to see the camera. So we'll get ourselves lined up on our mat again. Up onto the left elbow this time. Our right leg is our top leg. We have ourselves straight down through the middle of the mat. So you can see me from the side, from the front. Straight down from my head to my hip to my knee to my ankle, straight down. Now I'm going to bend my knees. 90-degree bend through the knees, so right angle through the knees. Head, shoulder, hip, and ankle are all in a straight line, and then my knees are coming in front from there. Okay? From that position, when I'm comfortable and when I'm happy with my positioning, I'm just going to lie myself back down onto the ground once more. Again, using that arm as a cushion. Just make sure that the head is nice and neutral and relaxed. Again, if you want to use that right index finger for the first 2 clamshells, you can open and close the clamshell, making sure that we're not doing any unnecessary rotating or compensating. Keep the feet stuck together. lifting top knee off bottom knee. If we're comfortable with what we're doing, relax that right hand down to the ground, resting on the palm or on the fingertips, whatever is more comfortable for you. Again, synchronize and wrap the breath around the movements. So exhale, lifting up, inhale, lifting or relaxing back down. Exhale, going up, inhale, coming down. So we're not trying to force ourselves to lift that leg any higher. Just work comfortably within your range going up and down. And on all of these guys, as we move up and down, if you need extra rest, hold in the full rest position for extra breath. So we're just sitting out of one rep. And again, that's if we're really feeling it. What we'll find here, guys, as well, is one side might be stronger or we might have more range in the opposite side. So again, don't worry that if one side was opening up quite wide and the opposite one is not doing the same, don't try and force them to be equal. Just go with what the body is telling you. From there, we lift up that right knee. We hold that right knee in position. We focus on where the right knee is and where it's positioned in the room. Keeping it at the same height, we lift up the top foot off the bottom foot. We keep the knee at the same height. We hold that position. We drop the top foot down onto the bottom foot. And we drop the top knee onto the bottom knee. Once more, lifting up that knee. Hold it at its highest point in range. And holding the knee at the same height, we lift up the top foot off the bottom foot. We really feel it pinch our outside hip. We hold that knee in position. We hold that foot in position. We relax top foot to bottom foot. We relax top knee to bottom knee. On the next 2 reps, we'll do them without lowering the knee at all. So 2 reps coming in a row. Lift up the top knee off the bottom knee. Hold the knee in position, lifting up the top foot off the bottom foot. Hold that position strong. Lowering slowly the top foot to the bottom foot. Keeping the knee at the same height. Hold the knee opened up and hold that clamshell opened up. And once more, lifting top foot off bottom foot. Knee stays at the same height. When we reach our end range, we hold that position there. We lower top foot to bottom foot. And then we lower top knee to bottom knee. And then we're going to straighten out that top leg, guys. So as before, straighten out that top leg, and that you should feel that top leg relax down onto the bottom foot. Have the toe pointing away, so point those toes away down to the wall below us. And again, think about the width of your mat. Passing that leg up through the narrow channel. We're not allowing the leg to go any closer to the screen in front of you, or if you're facing a wall, don't allow the foot to go any closer to the wall. The foot will want to travel forward. So if we just keep focused on keeping the foot back, we'll start to really feel it pinch the outside of the hip. And again, take extra rest whenever you need to, just by resting that top foot on the floor. Passing that foot up through a narrow channel, we go for 3 more reps. Keep the speed of your leg going up and down the same. Excellent. And on the next rep, we lower the foot to the floor. And let's turn that toe towards the wall in front. Now again, if you need to bend the bottom knee a little bit more, just so all of the instep of the foot is resting on the floor, do. We want to feel the inside of the big toe, the inside of the foot, and the inside of the heel resting on the ground. Keeping that toe turned up towards the wall in front. Let's lift that top leg again, keeping the instep parallel to the floor. What the body will want to do here to cheat is it'll want to rotate and lift and turn the toe towards the ceiling. So don't allow it to do that. Don't try and force lift here. Go with what the body is telling you. Stay within your range, working within your range, but stay comfortable and don't try and force any extra height. Doing good there, guys. And again, exhale, lifting up. Inhale, dropping back down. Keep passing the foot up through the narrow channel, not allowing the toe to go any closer to the wall in front of you, or if you're facing the screen, don't allow the foot to go any closer to the screen. Lift up on the next rep and hold in position. Again, instep of the foot is pointing straight ahead. Really feeling that burn the outside the hip now. Really feeling the work happen from the outside the hip. 6 more seconds, we'll lower gently to the floor, and then we'll go with 5 reps to finish off. Gently lower the foot back to the floor. And as we exhale, we lift the leg up. As we inhale, we bring the leg back down. Not forcing it high. Keep it aligned. Instep of the foot is parallel to the floor. And when you have 5 reps done, guys, relaxing the foot back to the floor. And from there, we're just going to gently roll back onto our backs. So from there, we lengthen our legs nice and long. And from there, we're just going to bend our knees, resting the feet onto the floor, knees bent to around 90 degrees. Just going to use this time now, guys, to open and close the space between our lower back and the mat. So I want you to keep your shoulder blades pulled back into the mat. I want you to keep your tailbone on the mat. And all I want you to do is really push that lower back into the mat. So closing the space between the lower back and the mat. And then I want you to lift that lower back as high off the mat as we can, but still keeping the tailbone and shoulders on the ground. So just open and close the space there. So what we're doing here is, as we did in the beginning of the class, we're just tipping and rotating from the hips. And we're just opening and closing the space there between our lower back and the mat. So a couple of pelvic tilts there. And in a second, I just want you to bring yourself where you believe to be halfway between those 2 points. So bring yourself to a nice, comfortable halfway house position between those 2 points. Point 1 being mat pushed firmly into the, back pushed firmly into the mat. Second position, back lifted as high as you can off the mat. So bring yourself into a halfway position between those 2 points. From there, we're going to extend the left leg long. Heel resting on the ground, toe turned up towards the roof. From there, we're going to bring our fingertips onto our temples. Elbows tucked inside the width of the mat. From here, we're going to lift ourselves up off the mat. So we're going to lift our shoulders off the mat. We're going to look down the inside of our right leg. We'll do that through our exhale, and through our inhale, we'll return back to the mat. Exhaling out, lifting the shoulders up and down the inside of the right leg. And then we lower back down through the inhale. Exhaling, lifting up. Inhaling, we're setting back down again. To make the move a little bit tougher, we can lift that heel off the floor on our left-hand side. And we try and keep the heel at the same height off the ground at all times. So as we lift, the heel doesn't lift any higher, it stays at the same height. Keep following your breath, guys. So as we exhale, we lift up. As we inhale, we reset back down. Keeping the belly button pulled back towards the spine. As we lift up, we want to keep the belly button pulled down. We want to lift from low on our t-shirt here. And we want to reset back down again through the inhale. So think pelvic floor engaged. lifting from low on our sternum and resetting back down. If anybody needs an extra recovery, take an extra breath with shoulders on the ground in recovery. So the move keeps rolling, guys. In a second, we're going to switch to the opposite leg. Be sure to keep those elbows inside the width of the mat and try to avoid bringing the hands to the back of the head, because then we're inclined to use that as leverage and we just end up pulling our chin to our chest. So think, if my head's in a neutral position on the mat, when I lift up, it should still be in a neutral position. From there, guys, relax the hands back to the floor, bring both feet back to the ground, equal distance apart, feet in line, knees in line and bent at the same angle. From there, we're just going to rest our palms onto the floor. From there, engage through that pelvic floor once more, hold that connection consistent, and from there, just push the feet into the ground. Push the feet in as strongly as you can to the ground, letting the hips rise off the floor. Don't try and overarch the back here. We want to keep that neutral alignment again. We keep the pelvic floor engaged. The belly button is pulled back still towards the spine. And we're starting to feel tension through our glutes and especially our hamstrings here. If anybody wants to make this move a little bit more challenging, I want you to keep the knees at the same height. And I want you to just straighten the right leg, point the toe away. Return that leg back down to the ground and then straighten the opposite leg. But what we're looking for here is keeping the hips steady and keeping the knees side by side. So all we're doing is extending through the knee. We're not actively lifting the leg any higher. From there, relaxing the hips back to the floor. Bring yourself into that neutral position once more. Engage through the pelvic floor. Straighten out the right leg. Bringing the fingertips onto the temples. Elbows tucked inside the width of the mat once more. From there, from low on our sternum, exhaling, lifting up off the ground. This time looking down the inside of the left knee. Reset back down. Again, to make it tougher, we take that right heel off the ground. Let your movement once more follow your breath. Only lifting up through the exhale, only relaxing down through the inhale. And again, an extra breath can be taken in recovery if needed. Keeping that belly button again pulled down towards the spine, even as you lift. And from there, guys, we relax the shoulders to the ground. We bend both knees once more. And we're going to move into our glute bridge again. Palms relaxed, flat on the floor. From there, engage to the pelvic floor. We push the feet into the ground as strongly as we can. Try not to lift the hips here. Just trying to push the feet in so the hips lift. Try not to over-exaggerate and arch through the back. Keep the back muscles nice and relaxed. Let the lift here come from the glutes and hamstrings. If anybody who's strong and comfortable, let's go into those leg extensions once more. So we are straightening the right leg, pointing the toe away, and then the left leg. Every second side on them. Focus, if you're doing that, on keeping the hips at a steady height. So hips should not drop. So as I extend my left leg, the tendency is for that left hip to drop. Keep squeezed on. That right hamstring will have to do a lot of work when the left leg is off the ground. So we're taking all of the weight essentially onto one leg. We're asking one leg to stabilize and hold the hips at a neutral position or at a steady level across the body. And from there, guys, relax the hips back down onto the ground. From there, we're just going to straighten out that left leg, and from there, interlock the fingers around the right knee. And from there, we're going to use that knee to pull ourselves up into a seated position. From that seated position, then, I just want you to bring yourself into cross-legged position, sitting up nice and tall. I'm going to finish off with a couple of gentle stretches through this position. Relax the hands onto the knees. Stack the spine nice and tall. Head in neutral, looking straight ahead, neck elongated. Again, if you were sitting back against the wall, you'd feel your head, your shoulders, and your tailbone in contact with the wall. A nice straight back. From there, placing the left hand on the ground, reach the right hand up to the ceiling. And from there, just gently walk that left hand away. And as you walk it away, follow with the right hand, trying to reach that right hand to the wall, to our left-hand side. As we're reaching with our right fingertips, think about your right hip now. Push your right hip down as you reach your right hand up. So we're bringing more length to that right-hand side of the body, and that's where we will feel the stretch. Gently bring that hand back down, walk the opposite hand back in, place the right hand on the floor this time, reach the left hand straight up, gently walk the right hand away, follow with the left hand, reaching those left fingertips to the wall to our right hand side. And as we reach our end point, think about your left hip, push your left hip down as you reach, trying to get that extra little bit of distance between your left fingertips and your left hip bone. And gently bring that hand back, walk the hand back in. From there, we're going to place our hands on the floor in front of our body. And from there, we're going to just gently walk the hands out the floor. Try and keep the sitting bones on the floor. Drop the head, let the body melt through the mat. Walk the hands on a little bit further. Try not to let the sitting bones of the hips lift off the mat. From there, gently walking the hands back. From there, bringing right and left hand in front of shoulders. From there, we're going to bring right hand to left shoulder, left hand to right shoulder. Lift the elbows up nice and tall. From there, keeping everything locked in through the pelvic floor. From the belly button upward, it's going to gently rotate to the right hand side. From there, we're going to extend that right arm around. Keep the head looking in the same direction. Don't follow the hand as it moves around. Now really work that right hand around the corner. Keep the eyes fixed straight ahead up. Lovely. From there, bring ourselves back into neutral. Cross the right hand to left shoulder. Keep that head in neutral. Imagine we had a neck brace on and our head can't move left or right. Sitting tall, keep the elbows high. Rotate around to the left hand side this time. Let the head just follow the body. From there, we extend that left arm around the corner. Eyes are not following the left hand. Really work that left arm around the corner now, feeling the stretch up through the shoulder blades. And from there, we'll bring back in nice and steady. Crossing left over right again. Holding our strong position. From there, guys, relax the hands down to the knees once more. We've got one more stretch to do. We're going to sit tall. We're going to straighten those legs out. Toes turn up towards the ceiling. Sitting nice and tall. Nice flat back. Bringing right and left hand in front of shoulders. Keeping the hands at that height from the floor, so we're not allowing them to drop as we reach. We're just going to reach forward, tuck the head down, but keep the hands at the same height off the floor. Sitting back, lifting the head up. Hands staying at the same height. So again, as I always say, try and imagine your hands are resting on a table. Keep them on the table, just slide the hands across the table, bring the forehead to the table.
Sitting back, keep the hands at the same height. 2 more to go. Exhale, reaching forward. Sitting back, nice and tall. And once more. Sitting back, nice and tall once more, guys. From there, let's finish off by bringing ourselves into a standing position. So, from that sitting position, I just want you to sit to the back of your mat, crossing your legs over, and bring yourself to there. Bring your hands and just roll through onto your elbows. Bring yourselves to our all-fourth position. We'll finish with one more downward facing dog. So we'll bring pelvic floor connection back in once more. Straighten the left leg, straighten the right leg, bring ourselves into that high plank position. From there, we sit the heels back to the floor. We lift the tailbone towards the ceiling, head and chest between the arms. Return to high plank position once more. Keep the pelvic floor connection. From there, walk the hands back to the feet. Let the body hang towards the feet. Gently bring the feet to hip width apart. Resting the hands to the backs of the legs. Keep the head tucked in. And gently slide the hands up the legs. Peeling ourselves up into a stand. The last thing to lift is the head. Head lifts. Then shoulders reach back and down. Palms up facing forward. Neck elongated. Take a deep breath in. Exhaling out. And that's everything practice for today. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for joining us. And we'll see you again really soon. Thank you.